It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of August 7th, 1998. We only got 4 movies to look at today, so we can make this pretty quickly, so let's go ahead and get right to it. We'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is Brian De Palma's Snake Eyes, starring Nicolas Cage.
Down exactly when they wanted you to. They miss him with that second shot. Missed you.
In the blink of an eye.
Principal is down.
Nothing is what it seems.
The girl next to me took something, got shot, ran away.
Not even murder.
I knew something was wrong. I didn't know who I could trust.
Nicolas Cage.
I'm not gonna let you kill her.
Snake Eyes. Now playing.
This is one of those movies where you feel like they have a good idea to it, but it takes a couple films that are similar to this that come later down the road to really get the full advantage of what they were trying to accomplish here. You have Nicolas Cage as a detective. He's investigating a political assassination at a boxing match in Atlantic City, and you've got all these different witnesses, including this Navy commander played by Gary Sinise. Carla Gugino's a suspect in this, not a victim. John Hurd, Kevin Dunn, Luis Guzman. You're supposed to follow along with the film, and the movie that I keep thinking back to is a film they did 10 years later called Vantage Point, where I feel like they did that a little bit better there. I think that was a much better movie than what they were trying to do here. I give them credit, though, for trying to do something a little bit different and something unique in its style and the way that it's presented. The story, however, is where the film really does start to turns the film down a lot, big time. I mean, this is a story that really needed to be perfect to make it work, but right off the bat, you can kind of figure out who the bad guy is and who's the man responsible for who's the one responsible for everything that happens in here. And the mystery is just not there. It's just a film that does not have that mystery or fun aspect to it that really this movie should have to it. I mean, Vantage Point I think did it in a much better way. A couple is that we got 10 years afterwards, but like I said, I give them credit for seeing what they would do with this. And it's Brian De Palma, man. Brian De Palma will make great films. Great films that may not be. He makes great films, but then again, he makes these films that aren't necessarily really good films, but they're films that have a lot of ambition to them, and you really do get invested in what's going on here. Plus, you have David Koepp, who, of course, is a very well-known writer in his own right. So you have all these pieces together, and there just isn't anything there to really make it stand out. And to its credit, it could have been a whole lot more weirder. Like, there was a scene where there was an original ending where they had a huge tidal wave going through the casino, and it's like this big visual effects heavy ending that was cut from the movie and replaced with a reshot sequence. And it's just like I don't understand why you would need to throw that in there. I mean, how is there a tidal wave taking place? Well, then again, maybe it's in Atlantic City. I was thinking maybe this isn't Vegas, but no, this isn't Atlantic City. So maybe that makes a lot more sense, but just that concept alone just feels like it felt like someone rushed that in there because they knew that this film was going to probably lose audiences pretty quickly. And so they just said, here, just throw a tidal wave in there. Why not? And it's just like, and it doesn't really amount to anything, quite honestly. I mean, there's really nothing about that scene that really makes it something that needs to be seen in this particular film. It's also pretty interesting how this film almost went through different people. They went to Al Pacino at one point to give him the role that Gary Sinise plays, the commander. And then they went to Will Smith, and then Will Smith later dropped out of it because he wasn't offered enough money. But still, that probably would have been a better decision than what he would have made with Wild Wild West a year later. But we'll eventually get to that one. But yeah, this is one of those ones where I tried to get into it. I tried to get invested in what was going on, but sadly, there was just nothing there to really make it stand out or make it anything interesting on its own. Like, the story needed to be much more clever. The twist needed to be a little more interesting. Like I said, you really do figure out right away who's behind this, who's the bad guy, who's working for them, and so on and so forth. It just needed a little bit more of a spark to really get it going, but unfortunately, it's just not there with this film. A major disappointment on a number of levels, especially with the talent they have on board here. So that's Snake Eyes. So with that said, on to the next movie, and that is Halloween H2O, 20 years later.
He has pursued her relentlessly. He has hunted her everywhere. Now, 20 years later, the face of good and the face of evil will meet one last time. Jamie Lee Curtis, 20 years later.
Yes, Halloween H2O, the sequel that basically tells you to forget everything that happened after Halloween 2. And then the remake trilogy came out, and that's the film that basically tells you to forget everything that happened after this film, quite honestly. And yeah, the Halloween series is really weird. But like I said, this is basically ignoring the Jamie Lloyd story arc of the previous 3 installments. It's a direct sequel to Halloween 2, and it brings back Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode, who has faked her death in order to go into hiding from her murderous brother, Michael Myers, who finds her working at a private boarding school in California, because why the hell not? I mean, if he did, we wouldn't really have a movie, honestly. And, like I said before, I've never really been invested in the Halloween movies, quite honestly. I remember the first one, I remember the second one, the third one's actually pretty good. I've barely seen any of the remake trilogy because it keeps getting worse and worse with every film, and I've never seen the Rob Zombie movies, and for good reason. So, but what do I want to say here? But yeah, I wish I could say some more about this one, but I guess to this one's credit, it is supposedly the best of the Halloween sequels, and I don't know. I'd still say Halloween 2 and Halloween 3 make more sense than or at least somewhat more enjoyable than than the other ones are. But this one is actually not that bad. It does a good job of bringing Michael and Jamie Lee Curtis back into play here. You do get some fun moments between the two of them, and I thought it was fine for what it is. But like I said, I barely kept up with the series. I haven't seen all the Halloween movies, but yeah, I didn't find this one too bad, honestly. It was a film I just thought it was just kind of like, it was alright, but I have no real intention on keeping up with this series, quite honestly. But yeah, not much more I can say about that one. Halloween H2O 20 years later. So, with that said, on to the next movie, and that is Safe Men.
Is he a Jewish mafia? I'm sure that's much more like a club. October Films presents a comedy. I once sold a woman a pair of exploding slacks. About 2 guys who are so incompetent, it's a crime.
Relax, he's not gonna kill you.
Shut up! Safe Men.
So this comes to us from John Hamburg, who has made some pretty decent films as a director, but mostly as a writer. Along Came Polly's a pretty standard film that has some couple of decent moments there, but his masterpiece is I Love You, Man, in terms of his directing, the films he's written and directed. But he also gave us the Meet the Parents series, Zoolander, Night School. So mostly good films. There's a couple of films that are not that great. Zoolander 2, for example, Little Fockers, Why Him? I've actually never seen Me Time, so I don't know if that's any good or not, but here you have Sam Rockwell and Steve Zahn playing in a pair of aspiring lounge singers who are mistaken for ace safecrackers, and you have Harvey Fierstein, Michael Lerner, and Paul Giamatti among the cast in here. And this is one I've never really seen, quite honestly. I've seen maybe a little bit of it here and there. I know there was a DVD they put out a long time ago, and you used to see that at stores for a long period of time, but I've never seen the film itself, so I don't really know if the film is any good or not. I'm guessing it probably isn't, but like I said, John Hamburg has moved on to has become more of a prolific writer and director with the films he's made afterwards. But there's at least, from the little bits I saw in this trailer, there is a little bit of a vibe of Bottle Rocket from Wes Anderson. Like he was trying to be like his own Wes Anderson type of person with with the film, but I don't know. There wasn't really a whole lot of laughs from the trailers I saw from it, so it's probably not a film I'd really want to check out at some point. But I don't know. Might be something just for the cast alone. But yeah, not much more to say about that one, and not much more to say about our last movie here, First Love, Last Rites. Well, this doesn't look like the most pretentious film ever. Basically, you have a story where you have this couple, they're 2 young lovers, and during a summer in Louisiana, fresh out of high school, they're entangled in a consuming love affair. How the couple met is not disclosed, but Joey's originally from Brooklyn, and Sissel is a local. In a house on stilts by the river, the couple do a little more than talk and have sex, with the occasional interruption by Sissel's younger brother, Adrian, played by Eli Marienthal, who you later know as the voice of Hogarth in The Iron Giant, as well as in American Pie. Sissel's parents are divorced. Her father, Henry, played by Robert John Burke, from RoboCop 3. He's a Vietnam War veteran. He befriends Joey, and the two men look into trapping eels with the aim of selling them to sushi restaurants. And jealousy and communication issues start to creep into Joey and Sissel's relationship. Like I said, this sounds like a really pretentious movie, man. And that trailer does not do this film any favors. It's got some decent talents to it. You know, Natasha Gregson Warner, we've seen her in a lot of movies. Giovanni Ribisi. And just a good cast overall here, but just a film that feels like there's just not that much there. It just feels like a very pretentious film. And from the criticisms I see from it, it definitely shows in that trailer. The film's narrative isn't that strong. There's a lot of heavy-handed symbolism. It's like a film that's trying to say something and just say it right to your face. And it just doesn't sound like a film that's really all that interesting, quite honestly, and one that I really don't want to see. And I have no real interest in seeing, despite the fact this is directed by the same guy that gave us stuff like The X and Our Idiot Brother and Juliet Naked. And you know what? That's probably a good reason why I never wanted to see this movie, because I did not like The X, nor did I like Our Idiot Brother. So, yeah, that's a hard skip for me. So that's First Love, Last Rites. And so with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. We have 6 movies to look at next time around, including Angela Bassett in How Stella Got Her Groove Back, The Avengers, not the good Avengers, The Avengers based off the TV series from the 1960s with Ray Fiennes, Uma Thurman, and Sean Connery, Air Bud Golden Receiver, because we clearly needed a sequel to Air Bud, Return to Paradise, Slums of Beverly Hills, and Behind the Lines. So 6 films to look at next time around, and we will delve into those on the next episode. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So with that said, I am off, I will see you next time, and until then, as always, take care.